Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners. This is episode 56 of Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. I am one of your hosts for tonight, Ray.
And I guess I'm the guest for this episode, Josh.
Yes, I think I probably should have introduced you, Josh. But yes, we have our special guest host, Josh, with us. This episode, we'll be looking at Warren Ellis's issue 1, his volume 7 of Moon Knight. It's called Slasher. So, grab your issues, sit back, relax, and get your conchu on. Yes, welcome back, Looney listeners, and I really should have introduced him myself, but also a big welcome to our Looney, Josh Geronimo Johnson. How are you, Josh?
Doing good, man. How about you?
Yeah, very good, very good. Slowly getting back into, podcasting, having a little break with little Finn, which has been fun. But, slowly I've been reading a lot of comics, actually. I've had a lot of time for comics and a lot of time for Netflix, because with a little baby, a newborn, there's a lot of sitting on the couch. I know it sounds easy, but no, it's, yeah, you've got to pay attention to the little fellow. But been catching up with comics and Netflix, and been reading a lot of older runs, which I've been absolutely loving. How about yourself, Josh? Have you been reading anything recent runs or any old runs?
Well, I've been doing actually both. I actually right before we jumped on here was actually reading the new Iron Man.
Yes, Tony Stark Iron Man.
Today.
Yeah.
Yep. And I also picked up the new Thor. I haven't read it yet, but those are my two new books I got this week. And
lovely. You've just read the Iron Man?
I'm in the middle of it right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think? Is it?
It's okay so far. I mean, it's Dan Slott now. He took over with the new number 1.
Yeah.
The first issue was pretty good. The last issue was okay, and this one's so far okay.
Okay.
So far.
Yeah, no worries. I'm not an Iron Man fan as well, but I have been following this run because of Dan Slott, and I've been quietly impressed, actually. I mean, I don't know what to expect from Iron Man, not having read his series, but I just find Dan Slott's writing really easy to read, like in a really good way. Not that it hasn't got any substance, but it's it's pretty cool. And Thor, you say, but you haven't read that yet. How's it going so far?
I think it's pretty good. I've heard a lot of good things about Jason Aaron's run on it. Mm-hmm. So when they released the new number 1, I'm like, I'm going to jump on that. And I think it's pretty good so far. Mm-hmm. They've been the only thing I haven't really been liking is he's been doing these last panel like surprise appearances of characters from the movies. Oh, so it's like at the end of the second issue, it's like, oh, Hela was just in the movie. Well, here she is now. And then at the end of the last issue, it was like we have this whole thing going on. Then out of the blue, Thanos shows up. I'm like, I guess we'll see how this goes.
Yeah, it sounds a bit like it's catering towards the MCU side of things, which is always that's a whole discussion in itself. But yeah, that's I can see what you mean. There's a little bit of you kind of raise your eyebrows at that when that happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've heard the Jason Aaron's Thor run is really good as well. Yes, I'm one of the few that haven't read it as well, but it's everyone I know that has read it just absolutely loves it. So, excellent. How about older runs?
I've actually been chugging my way through the Reign of the Supermen.
Ooh.
The last episode I was on, I said how like one of the first issue of that whole run was my first Superman comic, right. And even though I'm not a big Superman fan, I did end up basically getting the entire run of it, because I think it was in like a 75-cent box, like the entire thing in order. I'm like, I'm just gonna pick this whole thing up, and so I've been chugging through it, and it's okay. I mean, it's 90s, but it's all right. Yeah,
90s comics can be an acquired taste. There is a certain feel to them as well. But look, oh man, Josh, I'm so jealous. Like, you guys getting these 75-cent bins and stuff over there. That's just unheard of over here. Like, I wish I could find a bargain bin with something like that, but that sounds pretty cool. I mean, like, that's shortly after the death of Superman, right? I don't know too much.
Yeah. So basically, so after Superman died, they did like a 2-month thing where everyone was just sad about Superman dying. Yeah. And then they stopped for like 2 or 3 months, and then they put out, because there are 4 Superman titles at the same time. Yeah. So in each book, there's a different Superman character that's supposedly taking the place of Superman. Yeah. And then this is that. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to say. It's funny you're saying a few months he was away, and everyone was sad. You look at it these days with Wolverine and Fantastic Four, they disappear for like 2-3 years now in comics before they come back. To get that effect of an absence. But
but at the same time, I think people were actually kind of pissed that he came back so soon.
Oh, okay, right.
Because it's like, when they were selling the whole death of Superman, it's like Superman is definitively dead forever.
Yes,
he's back, and he's back 6 months later.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are like, this comic.
Sorry, I remember it on the news when I was young. It actually was on the nightly news. They had a little snippet about one of the biggest characters is dead. It was a big thing. It was so much promotion for it.
Right. Yeah, then, because everyone was like, because the issue that he actually died was like Superman 75. So everyone is like buying a crap load of them. It's like, it's going to be worth so much.
Yeah, guilty as charged. It's still in pristine condition somewhere. I don't know, at my folks' place. But I'm sure it's worth 75 cents. So, look, hey, just quickly, I've been diving into like some recent runs that I haven't usually been collecting, and a lot of older runs. I've been following Astonishing X-Men now with Matthew Rosenberg. I'm really enjoying that, actually. So I've actually gone back and collected, all the issues from the beginning, and just wanting to reread through all of that. That's pretty fun.
Right.
Also, obscure things. I've been reading some old '90s Scarlet Witch and some '90s Black Knight. Don't ask me why. It's just that there's the whole the Arthurian legend kind of thing is pretty interesting, I think, and with a mystical with Merlin, I think it's a pretty fun thing. So I think my next steps will probably be Excalibur. But
okay.
Yeah, but it's look, hang on, before we digress into other corners of the Marvel Universe, we are here, Josh, because we are going to review by popular demand, I guess, Warren Ellis's run in this modern run. And so this should be good. You and I did an Isla Ra not that long ago, and you cited one of Ellis's comics as your top 4 Isla Ra books, which was great. Not long after that, in a subsequent Isla Ra, Scott cited again a Warren Ellis book. I think it was issue 4. Yours was issue 5, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so 4 and 5 were quite well covered, albeit Scott had it as his honourable mention. So we were getting a lot of Warren Ellis love. Our man on the street, Tommy, who did a fantastic job with Matthew with the Secret Avengers arc review a couple of episodes ago, they initially wanted to do the Warren Ellis run as well. So Connor and I, we spoke with Tommy. We said, look, we're getting a lot of love for Warren Ellis. Let's just put a pin in it just for a while, because don't want to seem too heavy-handed with Warren Ellis. Fast forward a few weeks now, and we're here again, and we just can't ignore it. We've got to do it. So Warren Ellis #1, we'll do in our LUNAR-PICK. Now, also, Josh, what I wanted to go through was another big thing in our formatting. As you know, if you are a long-time listener, we are constantly changing our format just to keep things fresh, just to try new things. I believe... if a format works, it's great, but, to keep the listeners and the hosts on their toes. It's always good to shake things up. So, as some of you may know, we are now syncing all our episodes with the phases of the moon. Yes, that's right. You heard correctly. All you have to do is look up into the night sky, check out the moon, and go, okay, it's going to be a classic run this time for ITK. So I posted up on the on our Facebook group a little chart with all the phases of the moon, and since we have so many different segments on the show, I thought it would be good to, with each phase, to earmark that as this is what we'll be doing on the show. So today, actually, we are kind of starting today, Josh. So I do believe the moon is in its waxing crescent phase. So our waxing crescent phase, we do the modern runs, which is a review, more or less, of a modern Moon Knight comic book. This won't be necessarily in a chronological order. We'll just basically pick modern runs that we want to have fun with, to talk about. So it gives us the flexibility to actually talk about the later runs without having to wait for it in a chronological order, because let's go through these phases. So we have, on the waning crescent, we have a classic run. And this is basically this is the backbone of our show. It chronicles Moon Knight's appearance from Go to Woe, basically, right from the start in 1975 onwards, and it's in order of when he appears. So whether that be in his own title or as a guest appearance. So that's in a waxing crescent phase of the moon. After that, in a new moon, we have something I've called Can't Fight the Spotlight, and it's a rundown of I'm not a Leanne Rimes fan, but that was the first thing that popped in my head.
It works.
It works. So Spotlight is basically what we'll do. And sorry, Josh, actually, I just realised, I hope it doesn't steal your thunder. The idea was to highlight a character from Moon Knight and to focus on them through the episode. I feel it's a good way to learn more about Moon Knight and his universe. But that's during a new moon, so that's not that often from what I understand. And as I said, the next phase was the waxing crescent, which is the modern run. Josh, how about from then on?
Okay, so the next one, I guess that is the last quarter, right?
First quarter, sorry.
First quarter.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm looking at the.
Sorry.
I'm looking at these in reverse. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So yeah, so first quarter. That is the Idols for Khonshu, which is a review of any Moon Knight action figures or toys. Mm-hmm. Which I actually just recently posted. I actually just found the Marvel Legends, the Moon Knight one.
Good stuff, eh?
While I was actually listening to one of your older episodes, I was walking through the store, and I just happened to see it out of the corner of my eye. I was like, "Oh, finally! I finally found it."
Yeah, but I mean, you've got to pick them up when you can, because they just disappear, and you never see them. You only see them on eBay afterwards. So good stuff that you found it in the wild.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is Waxing Gibbous. Mm-hmm. I think I'm saying that right. That's basically kind of the same thing as you did before, but now you're going to be doing either a trade or an arc. Mm-hmm. Much like the one that Tommy and Matthew did with the Secret Avengers.
Yep.
So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then what do we got? The next one is The Full Moon, mm-hmm. which is a film and TV review. Mm-hmm. So any kind of Moon Knight appearance on film, whether it's I know cartoons sometimes use it, or in fan films.
Yeah,
which I'm sure there's a couple out there, which is kind of cool actually.
Yeah, I mean, this well isn't that deep. I mean, hopefully it is once a Netflix show or a show comes up or a film appearance. But yeah, I thought okay, we've done the cartoon appearances, which again is limited, but there's a whole heap of fan films out there. I know one of the loonies, Alex, is going to be releasing at the end of September a Moon Knight fan film. So stuff like that, yeah, I think would be really cool to review.
Yeah, cool. Mm-hmm. All right, and then what do we got? Then we got the full. Sorry, we just did full moon. The waning gibbous is the Isla Raw sessions, which I think everyone kind of knows by now, which is a really cool segment. When you guys go through and talk to people, they talk about their four Desert Island comic books.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a really cool idea that you guys came up with up to do.
Well, I mean, we only have to look at your one, Josh, and the disparate kind of comics that you picked to show that, you know, there's so much out there that you as a listener may not necessarily know, and it's so cool to actually at least get a sense, dip your toe in a little as to what the likes of, like the NARM, for instance, is, and I found that a really cool eye opener for me. So from your Olara, so their loonies will it should be posted on our page and our group. There's a chart there, but we'll be following the phases of the moon to determine our episode type. And like I mentioned before, we are in the waxing crescent, so we are doing the modern run.
I think we forgot the last quarter one.
Oh, sorry, the last quarter. Yep, sorry. Yes, yep. Of course.
And that's the video game review.
Yes. Sorry. Yeah, of course. I'm not a gamer, so that probably explains it. No.
Neither am I, really.
No, that's true. They're a video game. Look, he has appeared in a few of them. Again, A Man on the Streets, Tommy, his origins are very closely tied with Ultimate Alliance for discovering Moon Knight. I've seen Moon Knight in Contest of Champions, also in Future Fight. So he's actually pretty cool in Future Fight. So these are like tablet games. I'm not sure whether he turns up in like console games, but we will look out for you, loonies, and we will report thus. So just wanted to get that one out of the way quickly, so there's a method to our madness, so to speak. Okay, well, a bit of news, Josh. Only a bit of news this week.
Just a bit.
But how about we shoot off with the first kind of big one, I guess.
All right. So basically, the biggest news, I guess, is it's been released that Moon Knight has sort of been influenced in Iron Fist Season 2 with the character of Typhoid Mary.
Yep.
Who is, if people don't know who is, was actually a Daredevil villain. I guess she kind of comes up against all the street level.
Yeah.
Villains, but she's mainly a Daredevil villain. But she also suffers from multiple personalities.
Yes, she does. It's very similar, and I can understand why there is a connection there between Moon Knight.
Yeah, so she has. The only thing is, with her, she actually has a bit of powers with it, because she has a couple personalities. Like, first one is just her regular self, which is the Mary, and then she has another one that's called Typhoid, and then another one called Bloody Mary. It's sort of like she gets sort of like telekinetic powers, not like Charles Xavier, power level, but just sort of very low level. But she has that. And she's a psychopath also.
Well, she kind of has telekinetic, but it's almost kind of like pyrokinetic or something, isn't it? Like, she sets people on fire. She's kind of like, she reminds me of the horror movies. I don't know. I don't think Carrie ever did it, but like that kind of scary telekinetic. She tends to like she immolated Daredevil a few times. I remember, especially in the Bendis run, she tends to set people on fire. I think that's what she mainly does with her telekinesis, but I'm sure she does other stuff as well. But sorry.
No,
Josh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. I was about to say, but this whole thing, as you touched upon at the beginning, was kind of blown out of proportion, wasn't it? It was reported, and then it was on all the sites that is Moon Knight showing up in Iron Fist 2? Moon Knight has been in talks and has almost been on Iron Fist. It was almost going to be included in Iron Fist 2, but it was all a bit of hot air, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust any rumors these days with anything like that. It's like, I tweeted a creator and I asked them what they thought about Moon Knight, and they said, Moon Knight's cool. Moon Knight's going to be in Iron Fist season 2. It's like,
I know, and I think we as Moon Knight fans, we cop a lot of it because he really is on the cusp of almost getting there, onto the screen, onto film. So he's constantly in discussions, and then any mention of him is like a trigger for these bloggers or journalists to kind of write something up. But you also mentioned, Josh, off air as well, you had a pitch for Moon Knight, if you were to.
Actually.
Yeah,
I just at least as like a first episode. I thought about this just the other day at work. I would just in my own mind, I'm like, what would I do if I was in charge of making like a Moon Knight Netflix show? So I figured the first episode, because the first episode of any show doesn't really affect towards the end that much. It sort of just sets everything up.
Yeah.
So I think really all you have to do is just do a sort of a modern update of the Werewolf by Night 32 and 33. But you don't show the whole like multiple personality thing just yet, or the whole Khonshu thing just yet, but you sort of tease it a little bit.
Okay.
So I figure like you start out just by showing just the werewolf, and you can have the werewolf in there, and you only have him in this episode, but just to establish that he's there and kind of what Moon Knight kind of deals with sometimes.
Yeah.
So you can have like the werewolf kind of going around and wrecking the committee's like one of like their warehouses or something like that. And then you see like the business suits of the committee. They're like, we need somebody to get this. And then one of them opens up like a manila envelope, and it's Mark Spector like as a mercenary.
Yeah.
So like, we'll get him to go do it.
Yeah.
And then you cut to your credits, which I'm sure they could come up with a pretty cool credit sequence for Moon Knight, I think.
They better. I'm sure they would. All of them have been great so far.
Then after that, like you cut to like one of those business guys just getting in a cab, and of course the cab driver is Jake Lockley. But you don't like establish that. Like us fans be like, that's who it's going to be, because he's going to look similar to the guy who had the picture of in the Mark Spector file. But he has like he has like the fake mustache and
the hat. Yeah.
And you only show him maybe once or twice the whole time that the guy's in the cab, because he's going to drop him off at a meeting with Stephen Grant to try to get him as a business suit into the committee. So when he goes up, just show him in the elevator to show the time's passing, and it goes up, and there's well-dressed Stephen Grant.
Huffing and puffing.
Yeah, well, not even that, just playing it cool. But us as the fans, we know that is him, but anyone else, any regular schmuck is just like, wait, are those guys the same guy? And then he's getting called different names, and then like after the whole meeting, and it's like then we figure out that it's just Mark trying to get more info on the committee.
Yeah.
And then he goes back to his mansion, and then Marlene's there calling him Steven, but then Frenchie's also calling him Mark. So you're kind of messing with everybody. Like, does nobody know this guy's name?
Yeah. First time watchers would just be totally confused. But I think that's awesome. That's a great idea. And
then the rest is just sort of the same thing, where you just kind of like the rest of the Werewolf by Night, where you just you see him take on the werewolf, and then we can actually see Jack Russell in his human form.
Yeah.
And then actually have him just take down the committee, and that's just the first of it. Just to get, you can have a little nonsense upcoming stuff like later on if you want to maybe tease some Khonshu stuff in there, like maybe towards the end. Just have the recent iteration where you just see him just walk out with like the bird beak skeleton just like at the very end, and then that'll hook somebody onto the next episode. Like, what is this thing?
That's awesome. I think it'd be great.
But Marvel, if you're listening, I'm waiting for my check in the mail.
Because that kind of like, I've always daydreamed about the stuff as well, and I can see that work, because I've always wanted to think of the Moon Knight show, being different, set apart from the others in the fact, because look, he eventually has a cape and he has a hood, but to set it like as a horror kind of almost a horror show. And I think with your pitch of the werewolf being in there as well, I think that would work. And this whole kind of vagueness about this same guy but different names, I think it could be really cool. Like, and if done right, not like cheesy horror, but like just done really kind of creepy. And then eventually you'll see. It might even introduce Mr. Knight, which he's kind of scary enough. But then you finally get the caped version of him towards the end. I think that'd be awesome. But yeah, good. I think Marvel should be listening to this. I hope they are. And just contact Josh on Josh.Geronimo Johnson.
Yeah.
At hotmail.com. Yeah, awesome. So that was the news. So as we said, it was completely debunked. As Josh mentioned, the showrunner confirmed, Raven, I can't remember his last name, he confirmed that yes, Moon Knight did come up in discussions, but only in the context of Typhoid Mary and the whole mental illness angle. Okay, another couple of bits of news before we get on to our LUNAR-PICK. Look, this was a scoop. We scooped this in episode 50, so Looney listeners, if you had been listening to that episode, you'd know that Jason Burrows gave us a bit of a scoop. He will be finishing up his run. He announced it officially on Twitter on Moon Knight. On issue 198 will be his last issue, but he will have a new project at Marvel, and he'll reveal that shortly. He can't say anything as yet. Now, those that have listened will remember that Jason did drop that little tidbit to us on episode 50. So we're all just wondering what the hell it could be. Josh, do you have any ideas what Jason Burrows would be suited for?
I tried looking to see if there's anything coming up, but to be honest, I don't really pay much attention to, because they're constantly relaunching stuff. So who knows? It could be something that's canceled this month and then they're relaunching.
Yeah. Well, he's really into. Is very inclined towards military kind of comics, similar to yourself, Josh. So I'm not sure. It's a bit of a stretch. I don't know if the NARM will be making a return, but it could potentially be a military comic, or he was into ninjas. So whether that means it's Daredevil or, I don't know, Shang-Chi.
Maybe.
Or but he's also a big horror buff as well. So he's got a lot of strings to his bow, Mr. Burrows, and again, so that could be Blade. Blade would be pretty cool.
Maybe Midnight Suns. Maybe they're
Midnight Suns.
Put it out.
That would be awesome if he does that, with Moon Knight in there, because we did see it at the end of Damnation. Fantastic. With Ghost Rider. Can you imagine Jason Burrows doing Ghost Rider?
That'd be awesome. Wait, didn't they announce at, was it Comic-Con that they're going to be doing something with Marvel Knights too?
Yes, that's true.
Maybe that's it.
You're right. They haven't released... Oh, hang on. Did they release the artist? I know Mike Deodato Jr. is doing the covers. Joe Quesada said... Oh, I can't remember. No, I don't think they've released the creative team. That could probably be a front runner there, Josh. So that had Punisher, I think. Had Karnak, I know. God, I can't remember just off the top of my head the images. Was it Daredevil as well? I didn't see Moon Knight, but there were 4 pretty cool street level characters. That could be it, Josh. That could be it. Anyway, you heard it first here from Josh.
Hot scoop.
Hot scoop.
Maybe.
Let's see in the weeks to come, Josh, if your prediction comes true. Finally, we have also a bit of a somber note here. We have news just come in, and a big shout out to Dustin, Looney Dustin, who brought this to my attention just this morning. Rebecca had also sent this to me as well, but I totally forgot to put it in the prompt sheet here, Josh. But Dustin said, yes, Max Bemis had issued out a goodbye summation, and essentially Max Bemis's band, Say Anything, are taking a long-term hiatus, so to speak. So he's going to be concentrating on writing, not only comics. He does mention other things as well. So I don't know if that means novels or scripts or something. But it goes on to it's a 10-page document. It's on the website of Say Anything, and it explains basically, I think, his first album. It explains Max's real persona as opposed to the personas he writes about, which a lot of people take as himself. And a vast range of other things as well. Also, his sexuality as well, and basically his latest album, Oliver Appropriate, I believe it's called. So any fans of Max Bemis's music, or just Max Bemis himself, he's a awesome bloke, and he's a good writer for Moon Knight at the moment. It'll be worth just checking out. It actually gives a bit of insight on Max, but yeah. Tied to Moon Knight there. That may mean that we may get more Moon Knight, but a little sad that for the Say Anything fans that he's wrapping up.
Did you ever listen to the band at all?
I listened to. I've got just on Spotify, so most of his albums are available on Spotify, and I do. I do. I mean, there's one particular album, I think that was released a couple of years ago, that I listened to the most. But yeah, I haven't actually. Yeah, I can't say that. I can sing along to the songs or anything like that. But yeah, it's pretty cool music. He's a very talented guy. So yeah, all the best to Max out there. Shout out to Max. I hope you're listening. And great stuff. Chapter closes on Max Bemis's a portion of Max Bemis's life there. Okay, Josh. So that wraps up the news. I do believe it's time now to go to our main event, and so let's head off to our LUNAR-PICK.
The Moon will not tolerate your interference.
Yes. Our LUNAR-PICK review of this episode, Josh, will be Moon Knight Volume 7, Issue 1. It's titled Slasher, and of course it is written by Warren Ellis and drawn by the massively talented Declan Shalvey. Just a little side note, this is easily available, so in contrast to the classic runs that we've done, modern runs are a lot more easily accessible. So you can still get this on single issues, on Comixology as digital. It's on Marvel Unlimited if you have the subscription, and it's in trade under Volume 1, From the Dead, which is what I'll be looking at as we kind of go through this. Josh, have you got the credits there for this issue?
Yep. All right, so we got the writers, obviously Warren Ellis. Mm-hmm. Artist is Declan Shalvey. Colors is Jordie Bellaire. Letterer is Chris Eliopoulos. I think I had trouble saying that last time too when we did it. And editors are Elie, Pyle, and Stephen Wacker.
Mm-hmm. And released in May 2014.
Oh, right.
So, no worries. So, Josh, as we kick this off, as a sliver, can you please deliver the sliver for us?
All right. So, Mr. Knight returns to New York to investigate another slasher case who's been killing physically fit people and taking their body parts. Using his detective skills, Moon Knight tracks down the killer, a former wounded S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and takes him down. Mark then meets with his doctor, who explains he does not have dissociative identity disorder, but he has brain damage from the actions of Khonshu.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun issue, and look, the first thing I want to say about this, and with Warren Ellis, obviously a really fun one, a really tight one shot, and which we know. His whole run is a series of one-shots with a little bit of a thread through it. But what I really love about Warren Ellis's writing here is his nods to and his respect for the history of Moon Knight. So the first immediate thing I got was when we're introduced to Detective Flint. Flint makes mention of Moon Knight being familiar with like slasher cases, and he refers to the 1980 Moon Knight run. I believe it's only issue 2, where Moon Knight tracks down a serial killer who happens to be, is it the brother of Crawley or the son? The son.
Crawley's son, yeah.
Yeah. So this was really cool, and I love how, and this we saw this as well, Josh, with issues 5 and issues 4 from Chris, that Warren Ellis is very much attuned to the history of Moon Knight, and he makes sure that it's actually incorporated into his story. So I found that the first thing that really jumped out to me in this writing. It was really cool. How about yourself, Josh?
Well, if you stick with the history, he does have right at the start. They do have a little primer. So if you're picking this up, he does have this computer blogger kind of talk about Moon Knight. So really briefly, his history about where he'd been in his previous run, and I guess as well as the Bendis run, and then how he came to Moon Knight when he was in Egypt, and the whole multiple personality sort of things, and then the whole thing of why does he wear white so everyone can see him coming. So it really just establishes everything for us.
Very tight, very tightly done, and very efficient in his writing, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah. It's a good summation of everything, and then it's a good establishment of where he's going to be at pretty much this entire run.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. Also, as well, the thing that pops out to me for Mr. Knight himself is his skill as a detective himself. I'd have to say this is the most confident and sure depiction of Moon Knight that I've kind of seen. Like, it's kind of actively so. Like, he's looking at the clues and he's explaining how he comes to them, and they're quite cleverly done.
I think in this issue it shows how confident he is with his detective sort of skills. You see here his mind is where he's very confident. When we're in issue 5, it's his body and his skill as a fighter is where he's very confident. So he's kind of confident about himself completely, but here we get to see his mind, in which he's very very
definitely
himself.
Yeah, definitely his mind. But yeah, I mean, it's good that you mentioned that as well. But physically as well, he is absolutely on top of his game as well. The one of the things I loved about this was when he actually comes face to face with that behemoth of a guy in the sewers. He doesn't show any signs of fear or anything like that. And he actually says to him, when he sicks him with the dart, he said, "Oh yeah, I've actually killed you 2 minutes ago." And because the guy goes on about how terrible he is and all that. And Moon Knight just cool, calm, and collected. And this is such a cool depiction of Mr. Knight. And again, we'd have to say it's just the colours and the use of white here. It just really pops out, especially when he goes into the sewers. Oh yeah, because everything's blue and red, and then then you just see him. He's all white, and then just like it says, anyone can see him coming because he just sticks out like a sore thumb. Yeah, that actually comes up twice, doesn't it? I think it was in that one page at the beginning where I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. Anyway, and then it's later on with the cop. He says, "You're crazy because you're all in white." He goes, "Yeah, that's a part I like. They can see me coming." So
he's so smug.
He's so that's it. I think that's what we can gather from this. He's so smug and so confident in what he does. The only bit of hesitance I gathered from him was there's a page where he's in his limo and he takes away the floor to reveal the manhole, and as he goes down, he goes, "Well, this is a totally sane thing to do." He actually is aware of the ridiculousness or the craziness of the situation. Other than that, he is in full control of everything. It's a pretty fun ride. What did you think of this soldier, this agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. here, Josh? If you were someone you wouldn't take home, to dinner with, or
That depends. I think as a joke, I think I might. Hey, here, go meet this guy.
Yeah, exactly. Take him out to Halloween. But it looks like he's had a bit of a hard run, to say the least. And the idea was, what was happening here, Josh? He was killing bodybuilders and gym junkies and stuff. and he was adding it to his body to keep him alive.
Yeah, apparently there's machines that you can do. I don't know how that works, though. I guess if you cut off somebody's arm, then you just stick the arm in there and you put your stump and it just hot glues it or something. I don't know. If they don't really show it, they just say that he has it. But
well, he's still missing a hand. He probably had one more kill before he could attach a hand on there. But yeah, he's got tubes and stuff coming out of him. He's a really grotesque character, and I think it was a really good contrast to have him mainly in red because he's down in the sewers and full of blood. In contrast, and it actually pops out with Mr. Knight because he's so white in it. Look, it kind of also is a message to how, I guess, he was spat out by an organisation as S.H.I.E.L.D. as noble, and as peacekeeping as S.H.I.E.L.D. It shows the dirty side of things. He was kind of left for dead.
It's actually not. Now that I think about it, it's sort of similar. Not to jump really ahead, but in the second issue, sort of the same thing. A guy who's kind of cast out by people he worked with. Yeah,
right. Let me just refer to the second issue. Oh yeah, that's with all the
sniper.
Oh, yeah, that was a good one.
I know.
They're all good.
If I wouldn't have picked number 5 for my Isla, I probably would have picked issue 2 because I really that action is really good in that one too.
Yeah, that is action packed. I mean, and in issue 1 there isn't too much action at all actually.
No, there's really
and
not.
I guess I think that's probably maybe it was a good primer. Like issue 1, as you mentioned, in your Netflix pitch. The first issue or episode really does set the scene, and so we do get the intellectual side of Mr. Knight here. He's sleuthing and just a bit of fighting at the end, and he's just so pretty dapper. And he actually he blocks a bullet. I mean that's got to be superhuman, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
He takes out a crescent dart, unless that guy really slowly lifts up the gun and slowly pulls the trigger, gives him enough time. But he's done well. He ricochets it, and I think it ricochets back to the guy, and he's a dead donger. But what did you think of the last bit here, Josh? The therapy session.
At first, I was a little not confused, but I thought this doctor was going to be a big villain because the way she's drawn, she looks creepy as hell.
Yeah.
But I do
Isn't she later on? Doesn't she become?
Oh, she does. Yeah, because she has this whole scandal. In the next arc, I think by Brian Wood.
In the next arc, yes, Brian Wood. Yeah, he fleshes it out. I wonder if that was planned at all, or if Brian just kind of ran with it. Like you just had to look at these pictures and go, and Declan's actually drawn her pretty malevolent. I might as well make her a villain. But it's it goes into a bit of his mental state, I guess, which is cool because I guess for Moon Knight fans, it's such a big part of Moon Knight, right? So you'd want at least to address it somehow. And for the most part, other than the fact that he appears a little cavalier at the beginning, he likes to, he dresses in white, people see him coming. It doesn't really address his DID. So it's good to have a little bit of this. So Warren Ellis has done very well at the end to add this in. But it kind of ends with him at Grant Mansion. So that ties in well because we get the first kind of big panel of Khonshu sitting before Mark. And then Mark actually seeing Jake and Stephen as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of it quickly shows just towards the end his mental state. But yeah, no, it's pretty good. Any other bits to note here, Josh?
I will just say, if we just jump back to the fight when he's confronting the slasher, when he first come across him, they're just talking, and the slasher just like, are you armed? And Moon Knight's like, not anymore. The first time I read, I took that as nothing, and then when I read on, and then when the slasher's like, how are you gonna stop me? And Moon Knight's like, I stopped you 2 minutes ago. Look down, and you see a thing that blew my mind. Because then when I went back and look, and you see the one shot of that guy, the dart's already in there, and I completely missed it the first time I read that.
Really? Oh, yes, it is.
It blew my mind the first time I read it.
How clever is that, eh? I mean, of course. I mean, if you read that in order, there's no way you'd pick up that little white thing at the side to be a crescent dart. But yeah, that is so clever. That is really good. Yeah, no, very, very cool. I don't think we'll be seeing that I don't think we'll be seeing that guy again. He was pretty much a one and done, as much of these guys are, I think. But yeah, I just want to also just mention, I've got to shout out Declan Shalvey's art, just in general. I mean, we know how stellar it was in issue 5, that fantastic romp up the building. But although this isn't like action page for page, it's still laid out very well. And he does give us the seminal look of Khonshu there with the bird skull. Just fantastic, in the webs.
Yeah, it's very like, it's sort of a, not a landmark, but it's sort of kind of established kind of everything we kind of know, like the way kind of things are drawn, even kind of up to now a bit. Like you have obviously you have the Mr. Knight suit, first appearance of that, which is awesome. Like really the first one shot page of that is really awesome.
Oh yes, as you're walking,
If I want to use a kind of a stupid term, but I would say he looks very pimpin' in that first appearance.
So he does.
he just strolls up, and even I do like the. This is also the first appearance of like the Moon Knight Limo, which we took a ride in.
Yeah. It was as big as it looked in here, I tell you.
Well, I like how it has all of his like computers and stuff in it too. So it's sort of like his. It's like a Batcave on wheels, not the draw. Comparison.
It's a shame. It's a shame that we don't get much of it, because it's a cool idea, and I loved how how Warren Ellis introduced it, and have him just almost on his commander seat there, just with the controls at his fingertips. I think it was a fantastic. And it's not even Samuel's driving. We actually see it's all automated.
Oh wow!
Almost Stark Tech and everything.
Maybe it had the when we were riding it. Maybe it had the tech from Men in Black, where they had like the like the hologram of the driver in there.
Oh yeah, that's it.
Maybe that's what it
had. He did. Samuel's did look a bit scratchy then, I must admit. But yeah, no, the limo is a great thing as well. And look, just finally as well, I wanted a quick little touch upon Detective Flint as well. And again, Warren Ellis's reverence for the past issues as well. We know Flint has this relationship with Mr. Knight in the fact that he needs him because he knows that Mr. Knight or Moon Knight can do the things that law enforcement can't. So he kind of covers his back and protects him from the side of. So we've got the cop, almost about to refer to him as Moon Knight. He goes, "Oh no, it's Moon Knight," and Detective Flint goes, "No, it isn't." That guy was, if he was identified as a dangerous vigilante, they'd have to take action. But, let's call him Mr. Knight, okay? He's someone completely different. He's here to help us. So it's good to see Detective Flint back in action as well.
I do kind of like, I think it's in the next arc where Flint, he sort of kind of gets annoyed with Mark constantly changing his, like, personalities, like, I think it's in that it's in the issue where the whole issue that's from the perspective of cameras when he's going up the World Trade Center.
Oh,
and he's talking. He's talking on the phone with them, and he's like, "Okay, Mr. Knight," and it's like, "Oh no, it's Lockley now."
Yeah.
And like,
that's Brian Woods, isn't it? Is that Brian Woods' run? Yeah.
That's another good issue too. I really like that one. Where you see everything from like security camera footage to the news to the little camera spider things that we never see again.
Yeah, very very well done. Yeah, Brian Wood's run is underrated. I think. I mean, it's hard because he's in the shadow of what Warren Ellis brought in the first 6, but it's very solid. I even like the Cullen Bunn one at the end as well. That had a nice supernatural tinge to it, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like, because it's funny because you have, that's not funny, but like, it's like you have this one who, like Warren Ellis' run, it's a series of one-shots, and then you have the Brian Wood run, which is sort of a kind of a linear story for the most part.
Yeah.
And then the last one by Colin Bunn is more one-shots.
Yeah.
So you kind of got to...
Yeah, it's bookended by one-shots.
Yeah, so it's kind of it is kind of a definitive thing. So it's like you can jump in, you can just read one story. If you do want one that spreads across the whole thing, read this one, or or read some more one shots. So
I think that's why a lot of people suggest Volume 7 as a good primer for anyone that wants to get into Moon Knight, because look, apart from the Brian Wood, you've got a nice 6-issue story running there, but you can pick as you say, any issue. I'd lead them towards issue 5. Just this is the guy. This guy sums him up. Issue 1 here, what we've just done is pretty good indication of Moon Knight's capability and how he should be depicted. Again, let's not speak about his depiction in Damnation. I mean, if you put these two guys side by side, Damnation and issue 1, they are chalk and cheese. I mean, we talked about the confidence and the surety of Mr. Knight here. Yeah, absolutely different. Okay. Well, Moon ratings, Josh. What would I'll throw it to you first. What would you give this issue 1?
Ooh, I think I would. Let's see if I go by the new rating system when we look at this chart. I'll try to stick with this. I guess I would give it one of the Gibbouses, waning or waxing, but basically like a 3/4 mode is what I think I would give it.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, cool. Yeah, let's say a waxing Gibbous. I was having a little think about this last night, Josh, and I was thinking, if we do this moon rating, what's the difference between a waxing and a waning gibbous? So I reckon a waxing gibbous is slightly more than a waning gibbous, because a waning, it's starting to decrease, right? So for all you mathematical people out there, that's how we'll be looking at it. So you said, waning gibbous, just 3/4?
Yeah.
Or waxing?
I give it a waxing gibbous. So I guess waxing is like a 4.5, I guess.
Yeah.
So I would give it that.
Okay, cool. I would look, only because I'm going to say this now. My disclaimer is because I know all the other issues coming up and all that, and putting that in perspective with this one. So I'm cheating a little here. I'll go, and just to be slightly different, I'll go waning gibbous. So just slightly. So is that what you said? Sorry, you said waning.
I said wax. Oh, this is going to get complicated in the future.
It's getting a bit complicated.
I said waxing.
Okay, yeah, you said waxing. Okay, so that's good. And so I'm going slightly under. So I'm going waning gibbous. It's a very solid issue. I was originally going to think of giving it a full moon, but I don't want to peak too early. So waning gibbous, a very solid run, but having known that there are other issues in Warren Ellis's run to come, which are just monumental, just phenomenal. So, so Loonies, you get a waxing and you get a waning gibbous there for issue 1 of Warren Ellis's run. Fantastic. We are not done yet, Josh. We also have a bit of feedback in our Moony missives. So I was wondering, we got some feedback from our Facebook page, and also from our Facebook group. So I was hoping maybe we do one or the other. Josh, do you want to do the Facebook page?
Okay. All right. So from the Facebook page, we had Wayne Hunt. He said, for me, the Ellis run is second to only Lemire. Where Lemire and Smallwood really dove into the lore of Moon Knight and his relationships with Khonshu, it was Ellis before him that really breathed a new life/angle to the character, which had become a bit stale and at times felt more like just a backup character for team-ups. In my opinion, the Ellis take on Moon Knight is our best shot of making it to the screen.
Yay.
Which, I do agree with that.
I agree as well.
Let's see. I could totally see a darker detective vigilante series with the tones of Daredevil and flashbacks to his transformation with Khonshu Throw in a finale of Mr. Knight reverting to his full Moon Knight suit, plus all the madness that comes with multiple personalities, and bam! Fits right with the current Netflix series. Definitely.
Yep, absolutely.
And let's see, the entire paneling for the first trade looks like it's made for season 1 TV show. I want that suit almost fluorescent and night scenes with Mr. Knight on the scene.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the Wayne. I like the idea of the fluorescent, the suit. Like it has to kind of pop, doesn't it? Because on paper, just the sheer white makes it pop. So I can imagine on film, it's going to be harder to create that effect. But yeah, maybe a bit of lighting or a certain fluorescent tinge to it. It'll probably do that. But yeah, totally agree with you. I love the idea of towards the finale, the full MK suit. I mean, that's just gold right there. Sign me up.
Yeah, I think, just like the way that Netflix shows go, I think that if we're kind of following that, I think you would actually have it start out in the Mr. Knight suit because it's kind of simple, and then at the end have the Moon Knights. I mean, I'd like to see the whole Moon Knight suit from the get-go, but in this universe and how they kind of play things, they like to wait till the last episode to chuck in a full costume.
Yeah, I mean, look, it'd still be a leap to have a guy, if you can imagine it, on a Netflix show, to have a guy walking around with a bag on his head, like a white mask. Yeah. That is pretty out there already, So, I wonder if Netflix would, dull it. You wouldn't you want him to have his mask on, but he'd have to come across as a total nutbag to do that, because, who does walk around, with a balaclava on their face?
Yeah, I try to think of also how would they film that? Unless they were CGI, which I guess they could do.
Yeah,
but but it's I'm trying to think how. I mean, unless they can make the mask see through. Because I also wondered, not to go on a tangent, but just when they did season 1 of Daredevil, when he had just the black mask. Yeah, that's actually that's a cloth mask. He can't see it. So how is he? I mean, just to film it. How is he? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no. And I think that's Charlie Cox did say it was literally just a cloth, but they did double it around so he actually could see, but it looked like it was. I reckon they should do that with Moon Knight, Mr. Knight's mask. So just have no articulation on it. Just have a guy walking around with literally, no eyes on there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
I don't know. We got another one there, Josh.
Oh yeah, and this other one is from Scott Ventura. Mm-hmm. He said the Ellis Shalvey run is simply the best since Mensch and Sienkiewicz back in the day. I was initially disappointed it was so brief, but I came to appreciate its finite nature. I've enjoyed the subsequent teams to varying degrees, but they tend to suffer in comparison. This series doesn't spend more time on Mark's illness than his exploits.
Yeah. Yeah, true. I mean, there's always, I don't know, it is a hard balance, and I think a lot of writers tend to either focus on one or the other. I mean, we spoke previously about Mark Spector Moon Knight, how that was an editorial thing, how they wanted it just to be purely on Mark Spector, basically, and nothing to do with his multiple personalities, and all to do with his mercenary, upbringing. So, yeah, and Lemire obviously took it down another road, so I guess they tend to really focus it on one or the other. For this one, for Warren Ellis, I think it's just the badassery of Moon Knight, basically.
I think with even with this whole volume 7, it's sort of kind of all like that. There's some of the personality stuff, but not that much. But then with the Lemire run, you get all personality stuff.
It is,
and not that much action. But the whole personality and kind of the mind bendy stuff. Everything is what keeps you interested, not the punch ups. So
absolutely, And even Lemire, actually also, and he's probably opened a door there as well, he actually touched a little bit on the cosmic as well, with the overvoid and the other void, and how that works, and how Khonshu and other spirits or entities like him, how they traverse space and the realities to inhabit or to influence people like Mark. So that's a very different tangent, different aspect to it that writers could probably pick up later on.
Right.
Yeah. All right, so thank you so much for that, Scott. And yeah, agree. The Ellis Shalvey run is right up there, definitely. So we also have a few bits from our Facebook group. First one kicking us off here is Midkind, and he says, "This was a run that got me hooked to Moon Knight. Every issue just pulled me in the crazy life Mr. Knight led, and I was yearning for more after each issue." Absolutely, Midkind. It's one of those things where it's kind of like a Netflix thing. You kind of want more after the end of one episode. And rightly, as Wayne said, it is drawn up. Like, you have those beginning credits. It's very much kind of like a TV show. Josh, in that Isle of Ra, not many loonies know this, but we were going through that. We had to kind of double take it when we did issue 5 because I totally missed the prologue bit. I started launching into the into the credit scene, and Josh had to go, "Hey Ray, there's a couple of pages before it." So I've learned from my mistake. But yeah. Very. Sorry.
I was I do like how in that how they do have like the credits. So it is like movie credits. It's like Marvel Comics presents Moon Knight, and then the issue, then like the name of that story. So I think I wish more comics would actually do that. I mean, I guess they kind of have like the primer page now, but
but it kind of gives it just that little bit of difference and a bit of a style. Like, even some of the font is different as well, and I'm sure that's all to do with Warren Ellis's intentions, and it just gives it a little bit of difference. And I totally agree. I think they should do it still, like, regardless of the primer at the beginning. Patrick Curtis says Declan Shalvey is the man. Such an awesome guy. Wouldn't even charge for an autograph, and happily signed every book I had. He had over 50 books. Wow. How cool is this Declan Shalvey? Declan Shalvey, if you are listening, hats off to you, sir. Many, many thanks. I tweeted to him as well. I just had to say, Declan, I heard from one of the loonies that you signed 50 books, over 50 books, and didn't even charge for it. I said, you're a legend. Thank you. So, agree with your sentiments, Patrick, very much. One of the show's favourites, Dustin, Looney Dustin, says, "I actually just read this for the first time a few weeks ago." Oh, excellent. I really enjoyed it. The only thing by Warren Ellis I've seen before that was the Castlevania TV show, which was amazing, of course. I enjoyed the first issue. It has a very good and unique villain, and anytime a hero goes into the sewers, I'm all for it. Well, this was probably right up your alley, Dustin.
He must be a big ninja. Right. He must be a big Ninja Turtle fan.
Yeah, I was about to say. And a very unique villain. Hasn't Declan Shalvey drawn the sewers so well? Like, I love, there's that bit, Josh, where you see Mr. Knight going down the ladder, and you see the different layers as he goes deeper and deeper.
Yeah,
I know it's not. Yeah, it's great. I know it's not absolutely original, but it was done so well. Really fun to see. So we have also Hector. It says, been reading Moon Knight since around 2000. Found High Strangers in a back issue section. Been reading ever since. When the Ellis run hit the stand, I was thrilled. When I read it, I was utterly, utterly thrilled. I don't think there has been a comic book-based event in my life that has made me happier. Hector, big words. But look, I totally understand. It is a really good run, isn't it? I mean, like, we talk about the Houston run, and of course the Lemire run, which, I mean, we're so lucky as Moon Knight fans, aren't we, Josh? So many good writers. And Warren Ellis, Brian Wood, Colin Bunn, Volume 7, just too good.
Yeah, I think even though he's not a well-known character, I think the quality of it has been pretty top-notch for, I would say from pretty much the start. We'll skip a bit of the 90s, the mid-90s, but for the most part, he, like, everyone has done a really good job.
Yeah.
And especially, like, for example, Hector said he's been reading since 2000. Like, since 2000, we've had great, pretty much top-notch runs from everybody with Moon Knight.
Yeah, absolutely. And the funny thing is brought to my attention again, High Priest Rebecca. We were just chatting online, and she mentioned, actually, unfortunately, like, the sales for Moon Knight haven't been up there I think it's been hitting the 20,000 mark, which is pretty average, or just maybe a bit below average. But look, we still get Moon Knight series, right? I think it's a writer's dream. It's a writer's book, really, or creator's book. So although the sales aren't there, look, fingers crossed that even after this series with Max Bemis, it won't be long before, let's just hope that it just keeps on going. But yeah, I was surprised that the units weren't shifting as much.
I think it's sort of been. The thing is with Moon Knight, I don't think it's one where people will just jump on. And plus, they're not one. Yeah. Marvel doesn't use that one to like, okay, we're going to boost sales with this one. Like we're going to put out 300 variant covers for this issue, like they've been doing lately for these like new number ones or like the issue number 600s or whatever. I'm sure they kind of will a little bit for the 200 that's coming up, but everyone who's buying Moon Knight, like this title is for the fans, and like you said, it's been around because I've been checking the monthly sales of all the books, for the past couple of months, and Moon Knight's been around. I think the latest issue, or not this one, was a 196. I think that one was 18,000, and before that was like 19,000. So maybe a little bit of people were dropping off, but. It's staying steady around that, so it's his fans that are picking it up, but like no one's just being like, "Oh, this looks interesting, I'll pick it up." It's a book that's for the fans, I think. Yeah,
and what are they? What are the other titles that would be on par with that, Josh? Could you remember off the top of your head, which has about 19,000? Like, if we were to like compare it to other titles, will we be looking at? I'm just trying to think of. Oh gosh!
I'm trying to pull up my phone. My phone just being really slow because I have the tab open.
Yeah. No, I mean, because obviously, Spider-Man, the Avengers, that one, maybe the Hulk. With the Hulk, I mean, he's a big character, but I don't think he would shift that many units. Maybe Weapon X, maybe some of the X titles.
Well, I know some people have been saying that the new Hulk, the Immortal Hulk, is actually really good.
Oh, the Immortal Hulk is fantastic. Yeah, right. I was thinking more of the Amadeus Cho. Totally awesome Hulk. Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, Immortal Hulk is brilliant. That's a really good run. Yeah, I don't know. What else is there? Deadpool is a big. You'd think would be a big tier. Title. I think just the smaller maybe like Quicksilver. Maybe that's even less. Those limited runs. I'm assuming it would be even less.
All right, I think this thing has finally decided to work. So where am I at here? Let's see. Moon Knight. I just saw So 18,019 is what for the July issue. So similar to that is like the Sentry, Green Arrow.
Okay, Sentry. Yep.
Red Hood. Spider-Gwen. So,
I was about to say, yeah.
Yeah, so like I guess, I don't know if you would say maybe like B- C-list like titles. So
the waning gibbous titles.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's okay. I mean, so those other titles that you've mentioned, they don't sound like they'd end, anytime soon as well. So yeah, I mean, as you say, it's a fan and a writer's title, isn't it, Moon Knight? So, Anyway, just sorry, a bit of a tangent there, Josh. I just thought it was interesting to raise. And finally we have last comment from Clifford Alvarez, who I know, Josh, is actually Scott from the 20th Century Geek. So this is his alias.
Yeah, that threw me off the last episode, or when he was on. I think he did his Isle of Rock, I think.
Yeah,
because he had I guess his profile picture is the 20th Century Geek thing. But then I'm like, wait, what's going on? But I figured, maybe he's just an alias. So.
He's got DID. Anyway, Clifford's personality says, Warren Ellis captured the essence of Moon Knight perfectly while adding new things. Brilliantly realised by Declan Shalvey and Jordie Bellaire. The art is 5 stars throughout. This is in my top 3 runs of Moon Knight. And Clifford, as we know, he has every single issue of Moon Knight, so he is a big-time fan. But yeah, again, can't disagree with you there, Scott. That's fantastic. It's it's been a really brilliant run, and looking forward to the next time we have a waxing gibbous, a waxing crescent. I can't wait to continue on. We'll be going on to issue 2, I guess, for this. We've got to finish the volume, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so actually, let's just take a quick short break to have a listen to one of our fellow collective members, and we'll be right back.
Hey there, everyone. I'd like to tell you about the YouTube channel I Am Your Target Demographic. If you're a fan of comics, we have plenty that you'll enjoy over there, including a series called Heroes Like Us that explores comic characters of all sorts of different identities. And we even have a series that defines words that are used in nerd culture that you may not know what they mean. So you can check us out by heading to YouTube and searching I Am Your Target Demographic, or look up IAYTD on any social media outlet.
Yes, thank you. That's one of the collective. And actually, Josh, that leads very well into our spectacle as we round out towards the end of this episode. And not much to shout out here. Just a quick shout out to Looney Dustin. Thanks, Dustin, again for letting us know about Say Anything Goodbye Summation, but also a shout out to the collective again. I wanted to shout out this collective network, which we're a part of. Fantastic bunch of podcasts. We have the likes of the Defenders TV podcast, Ghost Rider. There's a Namor podcast. There's an Iron Fist podcast, and there are things like We Have a Hulk. And I Am Your Target Demographic, which are more, broader reaching in the geek community. Our recent members, EMP, shout out to Bobby as well. He's quite active on Twitter. It's great to have him on board, as well as Corwin and Viet. And also, as well, Marvel's Weird Science, Marvel Comics podcast as well with James. Really, really good. And they review basically comic books in general, so it's good to actually get a sense of what's out there if you're a collector or if you're thinking of collecting more titles. So check out The Collective. It's hashtag The Collective Network on Twitter. So just look out for that. I know the boys at Defenders TV podcast, actually, they're looking forward to the Iron Fist Season 2 on Netflix, but they're also doing comic reviews of Doctor Strange, yes, because there's no Doctor Strange podcast. They're doing the current run with Mark Waid, so that's just kicked off. So be sure to check those guys out. They are a fantastic bunch of dudes, and they know their shizzle. So good stuff there. Oh God, I had another shout out, another quick shout out. Josh, I'm not sure if you've seen banding around the interwebs. There is an upcoming podcast coming up called The Last Sons of Krypton. And it hasn't started yet. It's a Superman podcast. So funnily, good that you mentioned Superman, Josh. And the two hosts for that will be myself and Connor from the Immortal Iron Fist podcast. So 2 street level heroes equals 1 alien, I guess. So coming soon to the airwaves, we'll be looking at Superman stuff. Connor is the real massive Superman fan, just to let you know. I'll be playing the I have no idea fan. I literally just been introduced to Superman, actually in the Isle of Ra episode with Connor. That's kind of what piqued my interest. And I thought it would be fun to go through stuff, and we'll just bounce off his knowledge and my ignorance, which will be really cool. So keep an eye out for that. Also, I guess next phase of the moon is a waxing gibbous. So looking on our start moon chart here, waxing gibbous, that is a trade or an arc review. Now, Josh, I spoken to myself and Connor, and of course, it really is up to little Finn at the moment. How much I'll have to look after him as well. But if Connor and I can't make it to the next episode, Josh, I thought it would be cool. Would you mind taking the reins and possibly doing the next episode if we're not available?
Ooh, yeah, sure. I can give it a crack. I'll
Awesome.
I'll try my best.
Awesome. Well, just bear in mind it's a waxing gibbous, so it will be a trade or an arc review. So Loonies, just keep your eyes out on our page or the group for information on what's to come there. But if, like I said, if Connor and I aren't there, you'll be hearing Josh's dulcet tones for that one. Finally, Josh, look, I might as well. I've been ranting on too much here. Where can Loonies find us?
All right. Well, they can always email at itkmoonnight@gmail.com. You got the website, which is Into the Night Podcast at WordPress.com. So we have the Facebook group, ITK Moon Knight, and the podcast page, which is also ITK Moon Knight. Let's see, we got the Twitter, which is the ITK at ITK Moon Knight. So pretty much ITK Moon Knight for everything.
Yeah.
And then like Instagram, Tumblr, YouTube also. Just search Into the Night.
Excellent. And podcast catches we are on, I think most of them, like on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast, Google Play, all that sort of stuff. So, and finally as well, I think I mentioned it in the newsletter, if you have time, Loonies, it'll be much appreciated if you could leave us a review on iTunes. It's still quite a useful tool to get our name out there. We've got a fantastic community at the moment. Just want to spread the word out there for any Moon Knight fans who don't happen to know about ITK. So please, if you can, that will be great. That pretty much wraps us up, Josh. I want to say a big thank you for coming onto the show. We had a little bit of technical difficulties at the beginning, but we've had to jump platforms, and it's all worked out now. But big thanks, Josh. It's always fun talking to you, and thank you so much for your support and for jumping in.
Oh, yeah, thanks for having me on again. It's been fun. I'm a little nervous about hosting. I'll probably have to ask for a bit of advice, but I'll give it my best shot. I hope everyone could cut me a little bit of slack.
Look, I'm sure the Loonies, I'm sure they'll be in safe hands. But yeah, looking forward to it as well. Anyway, as we sign off, I'd like to just say thanks once again, and may Khonshu watch over the denizens of the night. Catch you later.
Goodbye.
Moon Knight and affiliated characters, stories and events are properties of Marvel Characters Incorporated. Materials used and discussed within the podcast are intended for critique and review purposes only under the fair dealing concept of the current Copyright Act. The views, information or opinions expressed during the podcast are solely those of the individuals involved and do not necessarily represent those of the copyright owners.